Yeah, inspiration, I mean, I find inspiration in everything, in just everyday life, in music, in, um, other people's lives. Um, my daughter and I were brainstorming our joint story, last night, and, um, you know, taking it from her everyday life and kind of skewing it.
Mhm.
It's just the productivity can be an issue sometimes. You just kind of have to set aside and kind of just say, okay, I'm going to sit down and do this, and try not to get distracted as much as possible.
Mhm. Oh, okay. I know for me that with all this going on too, I find one way to stay inspired is definitely music or even going outside for a WALK. I cannot say the word because if my dog hears it, she will get
Yeah,
hyper. But I'm pretty sure everybody can spell that. It's just to, like you said, you can take it from anywhere. You could take it from your life, from music, anywhere.
yeah, for nature even.
Mhm.
So yeah.
So I know a lot of people, I know I definitely know this that you make, and you mentioned earlier that you make your own backgrounds and
Mhm.
overlays. Some people may not know that, but definitely in some of my stories, I used your backgrounds and I obviously give you credit and I had permission. But how do you create your backgrounds for those who want to, try to make their own?
So I use a software. It's called Daz Studio. The software itself is a free download. I will say that I had to buy a brand new laptop to operate the software because it's a 3D rendering software. It takes high capacity graphics card. I have a gaming computer
I do
essentially.
too.
It takes a lot of memory. Um, I had to go and buy a 5 terabit storage for it. And so there's website that's through the company that has the software, where there's different vendors or artists, digital 3D artists that create 3D, um, what we call assets. A lot of it is characters, which I'm not into really the characters. There's some other people that use DAZ that do the characters to make covers and art scenes and such.
Hmm.
Um, but you purchase the assets and then use the software to render the images. So when you purchase the assets, you're buying the license to use them, the license to render them. And because no two renders are the same, because different scenario, lighting, camera angle can mold and change colors and move objects, delete objects, add objects, blend sets, whatever. They're considered, even though a 3D artist, produce those assets, it that rendered two-dimensional image becomes my licensed art.
Hmm.
So um, that's kind of how I make them. Um, it's turning three-dimensional objects into two-dimensional images.
Oh, okay. That's really cool, actually. I never knew that there was a software like that.
Yep.
So, with the backgrounds you've made, which one took you the longest to make
So
or create in a sense?
yeah, well, so creating, because there's a setup, setting the image, especially if you do a lot of modification to it. But then there's also render time, and render time uh, de- is um, greatly determined by the quality and detail of the assets.
Mhm.
And I got this set that I was going to use in the wall, and I think I have it in the like the one image I was able to render in the far background, just because it's not as clear as I would like it. Um, the first time trying to render it, it rendered for 18 hours before it crashed.
Oh, wow.
I was a little miffed. It tied up my computer for 18 hours because, especially with the portal taking so much memory,
Mhm.
rendering and directing at the same time is not, it's less than ideal.
Mhm.
So, it's a background, a set of misty, foggy woods that I used when the main character and Ethan were going into the deep. So um, there's an office background in the Limelight version of Speak that took about 6 hours to render. Um,
Wow.
but there was a lot of pre and post work done as well. So the total time probably was about 8 hours.
Wow, that's crazy. But
Yeah.
but like I said, your backgrounds are they're amazing.
Yeah.
They are beautiful.
I I decided to do that because with my style of directing, I like to get multiple angles of like the same room or the same scene. And then of course
Mm,
now I can animate animals. So I wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't for this program. So
which is really cool how you honestly do animate animals and everything. I mentioned that earlier. It is really cool. If you even look in if you haven't read The Wall, definitely go read it because there's a scene that she has where she actually makes the fairy wings move. And I swear it was a gif. Because I even asked him, like, was that a gif or did you actually
no,
do that? And you did tell me you
um
did that.
that's two overlay only two overlays, and it was actually the asset was through Daz, but it was actually a Photoshop brush. Just it's a Photoshop brush. They're called water wings, and so I had to paint them and everything like that. Um,
Hmm.
but it's a Photoshop brush.
Oh, cool. Didn't know that. And do you have any tea you want to spill before we get to the final question? Any juicy information you want to share?
I'm more of a coffee person myself.
I drink tea, but I'm not going to spill any today.
Um, yeah, I'm not a fan of tea. I really am not a fan of tea. So um, I'll drink sweet tea, but the other kind of tea, the juicy, the gossipy, juicy stuff. Yeah, no, I'm not really a big fan of that. So